Hello, my friends. He's Israel Ben David from Communication Lab, and you're welcome to the Perspective series where we host different people from around the world who share with us the perspective on the open dialogue and non-violent violent communication skill, all that connects to that communication lab that you are watching right now. And today I'm really honored to have Oleg Nikolenko from Russia. He's a doctor and physician from Sechenov Medical University in Moscow. He's also entrepreneur and businessman. He has a wide experience and in medical, sport, and healthy lifestyle sector. He's also yoga practitioner for about 20 years and a certified mediator, and of course a open dialogue a facilitator from the School of Open Dialogue by Dmitry Shamenkov in Russia. So welcome, Oleg. How are you today?
Thank you, Israel, for inviting me. I'm fine, thank you. Today we celebrate national holiday in our country, so it's a free day. It's okay. I just want to add that I'm not from right now from the Sechenov University. I graduated from Sechenov University, so this is my alma mater. And this project, the School of Open Dialogue, is connected, is supported by the Sechenov Medical University, the famous medical school in Russia. So right now I'm not a practicing medical doctor, but I have that background, let's say. That's part of my life also, yeah. So thank you very much for inviting. Yeah.
Yes, cool. Thank you. Okay, Oleg, thank you for being with us today. And I would like to ask you the first question. And this question I ask everybody who is experiencing that open dialogue in the last years. That this method is kind of blew up in the first of all in the Russian audience, but now it's going on worldwide. Um, can you remember the moment in your life when you first met the open dialogue? Can you share with us that moment?
Yes, of course, Israel. I remember that very clearly. It was in June of 2017. At that time, I was diagnosed with oncology diagnosis, and I was recommended to have a surgery quickly. And I felt, for me, for medical doctor, for healthy style practitioner for years, that was like, like a very cold shower. So I felt ruined and was looking for anything that would give me support to prepare to the challenges of the moment of my life. So at that moment, a good friend of mine recommended to have a look to system of health management. At that moment, the School of Open Dialogue didn't exist yet. And so I went in and started to practice the groups. There were groups already based on the principles of open dialogue at that moment, and exchange that experience in present with objective of meta goal of health and well, in the beginning, it was very difficult for me to understand why I have to do that. Yes, and because I have a medical education background, I know a lot of personal experience, that was rather difficult. Even I felt that I need to immediately give advice or leave the place because why I'm doing here, why I need that. But after several groups, I started to feel better how it works. And even in from the very beginning, maybe because I'm a practitioner for many years and developed well, that's probably my idea that I developed kind of sensitivity. I felt something, even if I was not able to understand at the moment what is going on. I felt something very good, which I recognized as a support, as a help, as a good level of connection with my current life. Well, and it helped me a lot to prepare to my surgery, to recover after that very quickly, 2 times more quickly than predicted my surgeon, up to, let's say, adequate level according to the diagnosis and the operation. And so that was a very clear hand of support, which world gave me. Then I met my challenge of the life. So that is why I remember very, very clearly June of 2017. Yeah. So that's it. And then uh, uh, it started, like miracle to show the other perspective, yeah, from the raised from the open dialogue. But probably I will tell you, or to the audience, to all of you guys afterwards, if that would be interesting. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. It was kind of a surgery that you said was like a extraordinary situation. So in that case, it's really interesting to me to have your definition or have your perspective of what was open dialogue for you in that moment. Like how did you recognize that it can be something that can help you, because it's like, when we talk about open dialogue, it can be uh, for me it's about non-violent communication skills. It can be also about a contribution. It can be also about personal transformation. There's different aspects for open dialogue and why people should join. But in your situation, open dialogue and surgery, how did you get that link that it could be something that can help you?
Very good question, and not easy, and it is not easy to answer. Well, most of all, I found the open dialogue, the my participating in group, like, two main points, I would say. First, that it was like the good mirror which reflected to me, let's say, the shadow part of my personality, which were not clear for the consciousness level of my mind. So I found that instrument very, very helpful and very, very easy to integrate a method of work with the shadow. Yeah. So it showed me what I was trying not to see in myself, to escape and get rid of that kind of escapism. Yes, escapism. I don't know how to pronounce it that correctly. So that was the first point. So if I would put it in other words, it was like, that fast developing of emotional intelligence. I would put it like that, because to that we need to have a very mm, ripe individuality. Yeah. The participating in the groups of open dialogue, it gives you the very fast and easy way to do it in a specially conditioned space, which is like a social reactor, which allows us to develop the social, the communication skills in a very, very good and probably mm, in a manner of educational game, I would say. The other point was like that was like very huge help and support, because I felt lonely. lonely, faced with disease, with very serious diagnosis, and nobody else, neither my near and dear ones, family, were not able. That was my personal subjective opinion. Were not able to reconnect me to the world. Let's say mm, uh, to the social level. And now I understand very clearly that social level is probably the most important one in all levels of our health. So it somehow reprograms the psychological level, the subtle level, as it is put usually in tradition, and physical level. Yeah. So there are different mechanisms. We know some of them, like psychosomatic or epigenetics mechanism, and modern physicians, even from conventional medicine, say that epigenetic factors, they are even bigger players than genetics in the developing, especially the degenerative, the chronic diseases. And oncology is kind of that as well. So I found these 2 points. So the developing of my personality up to level of very, very healthy individuality, which is able to accept what it was not able to accept for many years before, even practicing many years of meditation, yoga, martial arts, etc., etc. I didn't have uh, mirror to reflect where I need to improve my skills, let's say my skills of emotions management. And the groups gives that in a very, very natural, organic way to give, it gives that kind of experience to the participant. That was one of my, how to say, um, insights. Yeah. And the other, as I said, it was like the good level of social support just here and now. When I participated in the group, probably that was that kind of feeling which I felt, the support and health, didn't understanding what is going on, how it works, and all the explanations coming from outside and from inside, they appeared later, let's say later, through the theory and through the very valuable personal, subjectively significant experience. So I would put those 2 points as a major ones. There probably are more. So if I start to think about that, but I wouldn't like to, to search for each reason, because for me, each step, each movement in our life has thousands of reasons and thousands of consequences. So, but those two were enough to me to follow and to become the facilitator open dialogue, and mentor of School of Open Dialogue, and etc., etc., and do more things outside of the school. So that's it.
It's a very interesting point for physician and doctor to realize that there's something on emotional quality, that EQ, that 20 or maybe 30 years since, I guess, Goldman first came up with that book of emotional quality, and that started to resonate. Um, in my degree of management, when I made it about 20 years ago, it was like, oh yes, there's an emotional quality, and there's not only the IQ that we are kind of idealize, um, at least in our imagination. So you, as a physician and doctor at that point of life, uh, uh, as I understand from you, already can see that there's an emotional aspect of, or your emotional state somehow can affect your physical health, okay? And there's also support, okay? The second point was that I heard that from the lonely place of dealing with that disease, like face to face, and uh, to go to environment where you can have that support. The first point of emotional quality as a physician and doctor, what was in your background or your maybe experience in your life that could make that link between emotional and physical? Because as I see, as I heard, you came from the surgery, like the very very problematic point of health situation of disease, and now you are talking to me about emotional aspect and that importance of developing your emotional skills. Okay, how was in your mind that can connect two different in my like perspective objects, you know? Do you see what I mean?
Hope so. I think that uh, there is no fight between these points of view. So for me, I like very much this integral point of view. Let's say which is trying. This is rather modern theory developed by Ken Wilber, for example, which is trying to find the place for every kind of knowledge, every kind of tool, every kind of phenomenon in our life. So, and it uh, became obvious for after many years of practicing of one part, and I was the physician of conditional medicine. I was working in the biggest cardiosurgery hospital in Russia, in Moscow, in Bakulev Institute of Cardiovascular Surgery. And well, I was the doctor of ICU, intensive care unit, postoperative intensive care unit. There was no place for for emotional. But I saw, even in that moment, I saw the people who struggled for their life. Yeah, they survived, and people who gave up had less chances, let's say. Even more, if there were some relatives caring, taking care of their near and dear ones, thinking of them, trying to support, that also gave the better result. Well, it's not kind of a clinical article, of course, so this is my personal experience, which was many years ago. And of course, the better teachers are our own pains and successes, I would say. So I found that from my personal story that this how it is called by Tal Ben Shahar, the modern psychology doctor of Harvard, yeah, that paradox of perfectionists. So I had that feeling. So I need that all or nothing, and this is a very bad story. So it doesn't it didn't allow me to enjoy what I had at the moment. So even practicing, that was probably one of the major reasons why I started to practice, to look for, let's say, for traditional way of caring of the soul, how it is called sometimes, also of this self-development. And so at the moment, my opinion is that I don't see the big difference between methods. So the only I need the system, the map where I could put the, let's say, what I need to do as a person from the conventional or physical point of view, and what I could do personally in my personal practice, and how I could use the social buffer, the system approach, or the intersubjective space to move towards my goal, towards my objectives of the life, like health. Yeah. So I don't know whether I answered your question or not, but it um, it's the long story of development and changing points of view and acceptance that that story will never stop, you know.
I guess I can see that point whenever you mention that name of Ken Wilberg. So that perspective of spirituality maybe, and now I realize that you're also a yoga practitioner, instructor. So it can go to the same, like to find the solution to the problem in very different aspects or object of non directly causing like visibly, okay, but yet can sometimes join or merge or somehow affect. So I can see maybe it's for our next webinar when we will talk about maybe that perspective of Ken Wilberg and that social buffer that you um, mentioned about the open dialogue as that system or scientifically based methods of of transformation or whatever. For me, open dialogue is basically started from the communicational skills that I practiced for several years, and when I met open dialogue, it like uh, popped up in my mind. That is something that takes that Marshall Rosenberg system of how do you communicate non-violently to the next level. I didn't know what that next level must be, maybe, should be, but I clearly could see there's a next level of something that Dmitry Shamenkov came with into the field of personal development and etc. What is the open dialogue for you after some years of experience facilitating groups, as a doctor, as a yoga practitioner, as your personal experience, uh, as somebody who brings that kind of experience that you bring into that practice? What is the open dialogue for you today?
Uh, Thank you, Israel, for that question. What is it? Well, it's one of the integral approaches to have a healthy, active, long life. Because for me, this is the goal. I clearly understand that there is no 100% warranty for that, but the acceptance, which is mentioned in many, many traditional ways, etc., and all big traditions worldwide, uh, is very easily practicing during the groups of open dialogue in a very practical way. When I meet uh, um, uh, any kind of difficulties in accepting myself, my experiencing, and accepting of the words of the other participant of the group of open dialogue, I could immediately at that exact moment practice the acceptance. I could see the world in the images of the other person without judgment, real judgment. So this is very practical way which which goes not only on the mental level, let's say, starting from social level, from communication level, and then going deep and deep inside, like an integrated part of my communication skills. So for me, open dialogue is kind of mm, uh, I'll try to put it in a very simple way. It's like, well, one of important part of my daily practices, integral practices, which help me to keep my social body, let me put it in that way, in a healthy way. When I see social body, I don't mean, something subtle, something mystic. No, no, it's the level of my communication, how I'm able to present myself in a very proactive manner without expectations, open with openness, and accept the other without and also the difficult experiences of myself or other, without losing the goal of communication, without losing my general goal to be healthy, to be creative, to move towards my own way. So open dialogue is like connection to the bigger system, which also has more sources than my personality. Even if I am a very strong man and uh, I I know more different things, I'm physically strong, etc., etc. I'm very limited with that sources, and this level to be connected with life, to have a very good relationships with uh, mm, all around me, accepting them and trying to in communication to find the general, let's say, general goals, objectives, and work about that without competition, struggle, manipulation, etc., etc. So this is for me the open dialogue. This is my way to long, healthy life. Well, not the only one, yeah. So I do my physical practice, my yoga practice daily. I do many other steps, including the regular medical checkups, checking what kind of medical insurance I have at the moment, all the necessary things according to the, let's say, to the integral map. So all I could do as a person, all I need to do to be connected with the systems like medical healthcare or social security systems, also to be connected with cultures, exchanging the images of the life. And here works if we use the model of for Aqual model of Ken Wilber, 4 sectors. So the left part is where the open dialogue works, because in the school open dialogue we have not only the groups, we have the practice of silence, mm, uh, which is a clear it from metaphysics access and how I would say it, and excessive rituals, the practice of awareness. So this left part I could develop using practices of open dialogue, and of course it is explained and based on the systematic knowledges developed in very rational world, where there was the epoch of academic Anokhin and Sudakov, Soviet time. Yeah, very rational knowledge, and of course it is supported by the modern articles, scientific information which comes from different sources worldwide. So it is very integral way of reprogramming my lifestyle, let's say. So because it starts from communication, suddenly I realized, and it was probably after 1 year of practice, that to go forward towards my goals, my objectives in life, I need the other. So before I was trying to think that I need myself, or I don't know, someone else, and that's enough. No. To be connected with life, to go forwards, to develop myself as a person, I need the others. And I need the others not like the concepts, the idea, but in the open dialogue, in the communication. So and the open dialogue gives me that opportunity to be myself in almost all the situations of all the communication situations, to accept myself from the past, my mistakes of the past, to encourage me towards my goals, which are not very clear because I need to work years towards them, and that's okay now. So I'm not in a hurry at the moment, and this level of acceptance, emotional intelligence and healthy empathy, it is it is certainly produced by my regular practice, and big part of that practice is my work and my personal practice of open dialogue and work with open dialogue with others. Yeah, so I would put it that way.
Thank you so much for that wide answer. As I see, you started with acceptance, and then you mentioned the social body and also the healthy living or learning how you live longer. Also, the emotional quality as the left part of communicating and the needing. Or it's not about neediness; it's about we need each other for better living. Like it's not only me who will thrive or who will survive or will thrive. Okay, but we we mm, not as individuals but as teams can succeed and thrive much better than and it's also shown in open dialogue scientific basis starting from like it like pops pop-ups inside my mind many questions that I would like to ask you in a moment, but I will start with the next one. The principle of that there's some principles in the open dialogue, and as I meet people in the community of the open dialogue, and for each of us there is there can be in a different times or moments in life uh, other principle or aspect of open dialogue that can resonate mostly, like will connect with us or will give us more resource. What the best principle or that you like point on, or maybe have in your mind anytime that you're facilitating a group or whenever you are in open dialogue with people, your friends or your colleagues, business business partners, what the most valuable maybe principle from the all that we have at 5 or 6 principles uh, for you is most valuable? Thank you.
Um, Thank you, dear Israel, for sharing your perspectives and for the very good question. Uh, mm, yes, there are two of them which I like most of all. Maybe it is because of my long story of personal practice connected with martial arts and yoga. Let's say the practice in traditional way. Yeah. So they are two. This is the goal, yeah, the objective. Because when I understand for what, uh, as if you know for what you can do almost in 100% situation your best to reach. I don't know how to say it correctly. There was phrase of Nietzsche about that. Uh, and the second is the personal practice. Yeah, that sounds a little bit funny. I suppose that how we are practicing in groups, it is open dialogue, but it is a personal practice. Yes, there is a very big connection. So especially when I meet in communication, the difficulties, yeah, and all reactive emotions. Uh, Arise. So this is the moment of personal practice. At that moment, I could practice why I need to do it. For that, this is the point of, let's say, of creation of the next moment of my life. And this is also very challengeable thing. And groups of open dialogue, they teach us how to manage that situation, which usually we in which we usually react automatically. And this is a very developing practice for me. Yeah, after years of practice, after a lot of knowledges and books written, I uh, suddenly realized that the best manner is to be in contact with the life, to listen to the other, to see, to try to walk in his shoes, let's say, put in that way. So this is, for me, this is the personal practice. And acceptance also my non-ideality. So I don't need to be the other. I'm like that with very limited sources, in fact. And understanding that it's not mm, it's not the reason to give up. No, 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 no. It's understanding all my limits and all my also strong points is very, very important to use that perfect tool which we have, the body and mind, to create something interesting in that life, which brings uh, more wealth, more ah, I forget the correct English word. Okay, so goal, every time remember for what I'm here in communication, because during the communication the levels goes up and down, and it is very, very easy to lose the real meaning of that meeting, of that dialogue. So remembering the goal, why, it helps a lot, even in, let's say, in the personal practice, in my daily relationships with the near and dear ones, because I need them, I love them, and this remembering that goal. So I need them. I wish all the best to them. It allows me to accept them better, and sometimes to apologize if I feel that I'm wrong. So that kind of how to say, the balancing, yeah, of my personal interest and interest of the people to whom I am in a contact. So this perspective of balancing, is looking for balancing. This is always the personal practice for me. And goal, of course. If I have a healthy goal, I could accept much more from the other, from myself. I could accept myself doing bad things, because I know that this is not the end of the story. I have my goal, so I can stand up, say something for myself or for others, for the world, and go forward. So these are two major principles. I like all of them. I'll try to follow all of them, and they're very, very strongly connected, because one principle rises from the other. From the goal, if you have the goal, you already have acceptance, you already have the idea of your personal practice, you already have non-violence, etc., etc. But for easy that digestion, we need to develop and put it in a kind of scheme and a kind of map, which allows for the mind very keen to those simple explanations, to accept, digest the idea, and to start practicing or integrating it in our personality. So I would say again, the goal, the objective, and meta goal of all the groups of open dialogue is the health as it is defined by the World Health Organization of modern physiology. So it is physical health, psychological health, and social health. Yeah, or like it is said by World Health Organization, this is not only the lack of diseases and handicaps, but also the social, emotional, well-being of the human, something like that. So this is my goal for every contact in that life, since moment then I received the message. So I need to be outside of me and in good contact with life, if I need to live longer and go forward. So, and that is clearly understood. And this is not interfere all the other steps, as I mentioned already. So I do my medicines if necessary, all checkups, going to doctors, continuing my insurance, etc., etc. So this is part, very important part, which I could do myself personally, of my integral way towards well-being, to towards healthy, active life, and joy of life, joy of every moment, even if this moment is full of different experiences. Yeah, so because I understand, I remember that moment, that was the night before my surgery, and I suddenly realized that each experience of my life is important, even the worst one, even that exact moment is important. And if I have more time, probably I would be able to explain for myself and to others why it is important. Yeah, so goal, and to have goal, it's like to have a half of the sources already for me. Well, probably sounds a little bit simply, but I see things like that. Yeah, and personal practice. I can in every moment to do something else, to do some activity, some mm, additional force uh, to move towards what is important for me in the life. So that's it.
Thank you so much. I had that moment when you started sharing about personal perspective, and had chills. I was so excited. There are chills in my body, like, oh yes, why, how, why Oleg Nikolenko and personal practice? You know, each time I talk to people from our community and about sharing their principles, and sometimes it surprises, sometimes it like make me excited. Or in that point when you said personal practice, I thought about I felt chills. I don't know why. I can't explain that. But for our audience, I would like to, maybe it's your first time that you like hearing or having that information about the open dialogue. There's a principles that we are, each time when we start our groups, we sharing the principles or rules that we like agree between the attendees and participants, that we will follow that rules, and what rules are based on the principles of the open dialogue scientific method. And one of them is the goal. We kind of, what is goal about? What is the goal is about? Is about like learning how do I set healthy goal in my life. Okay, it's just simple like that, because most of us times we don't even know that we behave or do something for any purpose. Okay, so open dialogue recovers what purpose is, and um, uh, give us the tool during the participation, like how do we go, not only go but setting, learning how to set those healthy goals, and then go to the applying that goals through our emotional or behavioral functioning, okay, in the moment. So the next one that I heard was the personal practice, and the personal practice is about the subjective perception of the reality, and that bringing myself back for my subjectivity, and it's only about how I see the world. That was maybe was so exciting to me to hear from Oleg right now about that. You also said about the acceptance of myself in the moment, even when I mistake or something like that. It's okay, like being okay whenever and whatever I am in the moment. So that personal practice, like it's very, in my perspective, it's very uh, small or a limited perception of reality, but still having that responsibility or taking that responsibility on my perception and not projecting it to the others. That's something that is also so profoundly learned in in open dialogue groups that we are holding um, in the groups. There's one more point that I would like maybe to explore uh, with you right now, if it's okay with you, and it might be maybe surprising, but it's very like you're talking about the social kind of buffer or skills or communicating with the others. It's a little bit about the empathy, maybe. I don't know, how do you see it? uh, it's not only about me, it's also about the other, and we need each other. And there's also about the collaboration. Dmitry Shamenkov speaks about a lot, like about that surviving, how the nations and all the cultures survive, like together, not why is that important? Because it's for me, in my reality, I live in Israel for a long time. There is a American individual self-made culture, idealization of being myself and succeeding by building myself as I am or whatever. So there's a loneliness in that place of success, okay, of successful success. And then somebody comes with that idea of collaboration, and I see it also in iTech and all the teams that like starting. Israel is like a second Silicon Valley right now about all the iTech industry. So there's a teams. We work like a team, like one more teams, not one man shows, but the teams. Do you have any perspective that would you can share with us about that importance of collaboration, and how in the group, or maybe after you practicing it in in the group, you're going with that skills into life, maybe from your experience, some moment of like spreading the or shed the light on that collaboration aspect. How do you see it, and why is that important, and how we can maybe even starting like to know any a new perspective of why that perspective can be also relevant to us, and not only like I myself will succeed, etc. Is it okay? I'm clear with that question.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Of course, it is very clear, and thank you for that question and for emphasizing of that that point of the job to to balance that principle of personal practice. Yeah. Well, but I said that it is personal practice in the communication. So, and I completely agree with the image you shared. With me right now about that this is small point of the universe, yeah, my personal point of view, but still it is a point, yeah. So it is valuable, yeah, nevertheless. And the understanding of that fact gives me the other perspective, this that other points of view are valuable either, so because they are the others, they are like me. So this empathy, you also mentioned empathy. Yeah, the healthy empathy, I call the result of group open dialogue. I have my own personal definition. I call it healthy empathy. What that means for me, that when I'm not how to say, think in the feelings of the other, so I'm not in that losing myself in the feelings of other, in my how to say it, in my feelings towards the other person. So healthy empathy for me means that I can feel what the other feels, but still I'm not losing my perspective. I'm still able to find something in between, which I could easily share. This I call it the space of interpersonality, intersubjectivity, let's say, where I could be useful for you and you could be useful for me without even knowing it. And that is very easy to see on the groups of open dialogue, and somebody shares his experiences, 100% they are not connected with my, I'm thinking in the beginning, not connected with my goal, not with my current state. I have judgments about that, but suddenly if I follow the as a personal practice to the goal, towards the agreements of the group, and not trying to judge the other, to put the definition on them, and uh, to speak with that role of definition, which is my projection, as you said, but with real other, I suddenly realized that there are some interesting and important uh, parts of the universe in the words of the other, and it started to give me additional puzzles for my picture of the life. Yes, and it is very often in the groups of open dialogue, in the end it has its own dynamic. It always different, yeah, but in general, if we put it in general, within 2 hours we come to see the strangers. Many of them, they are not familiar with us, and after 2 hours we're like brothers and sisters, and there is nothing extra substance used for that. So it comes organically, naturally. Why? Because we are synchronized, we have the general goal, we have more or less understood by everybody and accepted by everybody rules, and we try to do our best without perfection. Nobody is perfect in that life, but we're trying to invest something in that 2 hours of our life, and we receive the huge benefit as a subjectively important experiences, like gratitude, love, peace, quietness, or sometimes big insights, which emphasizes something which I probably knew before but never used it and never saw it from that perspective. So yes, we need the other, and we need that cooperation, not only to survive but also to thrive in our lives. And my health, thanks to Nicholas Christakis from Yale University, my health is uh, mm, how it is in his phrase. So it depends upon the health of the other. So if for some reason, after my sharing of what am I at the moment, others start to feel better, that means that I feel better. Yes, because in that part of intersubjectivity, something appears which is a resource for everyone, and not only for two of us, probably for other people who were listening, not participating very intensively in that communication. Because part of open dialogue, very important part of open dialogue, is ability to listen. Because this is the modern life is losing that ability to listen to others, to understand that sometimes just to be near and to listen to could help even more than my advices, my judgments, mm, uh, my advice is given from the very best intentions, let's say, but not accepted by the other. So what else? I don't know whether I answered your question. What else? So good examples of how this cooperation works. Yeah, we have in the school, it's not on a regular basis, but it is from case to case. We have activities, so producing open dialogue for business, for corporative clients either, and we have a very good cases on that. So this mm, uh, emotional and energetic synchronization produces the real economical outcome for the companies who decided to teach its employees to the method. Well, I also have some projects raised from the space of open dialogue. Some of them are volunteers, some of them are on the way to, let's say, to business realization. so we have a group for people who, like me, met in his life the serious diagnosis, and we work with the lady, which I have never seen personally, only online, because she lives in other country. She's Russian speaking, but lives in other country, and we are running for 3 years and a half, probably, this group for people who met serious diagnosis, and we have a very good results, like volunteers. Now we're ready to make another step to promote the groups, and we continue the rhythm of volunteer groups, but we see that there is the let's say the request, the need of that in the society, so we decided to do it on a regular basis. But for that we need resources and the positive feedback from, let's say, from the world. The other project is I wrote the book, and it is the different story, but just one important fact that the person, the redactor, I don't know whether it is the correct word for English, the person who manages the printing the book, organizing all, also came from the space of open dialogue. And based on that, we continued the other online society to sharing the, I call it Happy Log. So it's a project where we could share between us the 3 joys of the day. Yeah, and because my book was written when I started to wrote it just before the operation and finished after 1 year of operation. And it is dedicated to joy, that in every moment of our life we could find at least 3 points of the joy. I know that from the personal experience. I still continue to do that practice. So this cooperation works. Once Dmitry told me, like, how it is, unexpected benefits. Let me put it in that way. So uh, I invest in communication, and suddenly I realize benefits from that communication without any expectation, without any meaning to receive that from the people. So it works in the good level of communication like that. This synchronization, then I could be useful for you, you could be useful for me, we could find the networking, cooperation, etc., etc., and uh, the movement starts, and we could start something new, which encourages us to go to and to enjoy the life, let's say, and to not only to enjoy but also to thrive economically, also. Yes. What else about cooperation? Uh, I even started to make groups in foreign languages because, well, Russian is my native, my English is not perfect, my Spanish is not perfect, but for half a year, especially in the time of quarantine, I did as a volunteer groups in Spanish for my Spanish friends. And now 2 of them offered me to promote the groups of open dialogue in Spanish speaking society in Spain in general in the beginning. Yeah, so let us see, because from experience that I have at the moment, this method, the open dialogue, is not only culturally uh, context, or I don't know how to say it correctly, programmed. Yeah, it is a really physiologically healthy way of communication, which could be easily introduced in any kind of communication. So, and that is how this goes. It goes in its organic way, and school of open dialogue exists from 2018. I was from the first flow of the facilitating programs. You are now in you were in a third, yes, and now there is a fourth. And correct me if I'm wrong. But we continue because we see the results, the feedback from hundreds of people, not only my personal experience, hundreds of people, and this is very encouraging in to do what we do, to look how to in include that level of communication in business culture, for example. I can tell you one more thing before I finish. Sorry for saying that long, but the question was so good. Yes, that I'm right now trying to mediate the different kind of conflicts. I have my personal experience of managing of conflicts, corporative conflicts in agreement, not in a fight, not in a legal fight. I know that and the open dialogue is a very good method for everyone, and especially for mediators, to develop that assertive, it is called assertive behavior. Yes, behavior where I trust to myself, to my choices, and I accept everything and try to switch the conflict from the past to the future, from what is the reason for that, and what is the pain erased from that, towards what we want, what we need in the end, and to make the person in who are in conflicts able to come to agreement by themselves, creating by special algorithm of mediation. This space is something like open dialogue as well. So it is connected somehow in other interests of my life outside of the school of open dialogue. So I'm not cycled only on what I'm doing here. I see that it is a very practical tool which I could use for different parts of my life, including relationships with my family, with my business partners, with clients, with people in conflict, and whatever. So, because this is social level of my health, and if uh, this level is healthy, if the relationships between us are getting better, that means that my physical health also receives extra resources from that society in different aspects, not only physical ones, but also like empathy, like acceptance, like compassion, etc., etc. So that's it.
Thank you, Oleg. It was for me about the reflection. I just wanted to make some reflection about the collaboration or cooperation. It's not principle, it's one of the unexpected benefits of the skills that are developed in the open dialogue group. Um, there's a saying that the words are bad translation from original. Everything happens on language that doesn't exist. Just kind of saying that I went one of the social networks, and when I saw that, I thought about the open dialogue, because whenever we can argue about our perspectives or about our points of view, we, we never argue about our feelings. And whenever that connection happens in the open dialogue groups, when we go from our minds to our hearts and we express the feelings, and there's no arguing about the feelings. Whenever I feel angry, or I feel upset, or I feel sad, or joy, or whatever, fear, okay, it's just the same language that every human being like can communicate, and we don't argue about that. So in that place, that what in my experience what happens in the open dialogue groups, there's also the warmth and the love and acceptance, and also trust, that inner basic thing that develops, and that sense of trust that develops from one group to another and another, allows me to find that trust inside of me. And when I feel that trust, and I trust my trust. So I can go outside and I can share that trust, and maybe that is about for me that that point of collaboration or communication or cooperation between people that can bring us together instead of going with that one-man show or my way ideology that we have, unfortunately, very widespread. At least in Israel, I don't know what's going on now in Russia, maybe in America as well, but this is how it goes on. I was about to ask two questions, and one of them I can see that you kind of naturally answered is about integration, the open dialogue into other uh, methods, or maybe how we say that you like integrating the mediation with the open dialogue. This is what I see that you're doing. In my practice, I do the open dialogue with work with non-violent communication skills, and even removing that internal subconscious blocks, emotional blocks that can be removed in order to achieve or self realize myself in my life. Not only about transformation, also about the self realization, and achieving some important goals. The one, and maybe we have, yeah, already maybe the last question, if I may, is about the, maybe you have in your memory most remarkable goals, remarkable moments that you can share with us when you maybe from your experience, maybe from the participants in your groups that you are holding. I see not only in Russian, also in Spanish and English. Most remarkable moments that you said the aha moment of wow, that can happen too. Thank you.
Thank you, Israel, for a very good question. Yeah. Well, from my personal experience, as I mentioned already, the quick recovery from the surgery in 2017, and just after a month after surgery, we got married with Katya, my wife, and we were together for almost 8 years before. And I'm sure that open dialogue somehow pushed me in that direction to formalize our relationships, and I'm very happy to have her as my partner of the life. Yes, so we are together already 10 years, and I see how the relationships between men and women could improve, and if they have some basement, how to agree and re-agree if necessary. Yeah, because I started to practice first without mentioning it in our dialogues, and in the beginning it was difficult because I didn't clearly explain the reason for that, the goal, my goal. And then I started to do that. It became very smooth and very fast, and now all the difficulties which every couple, I believe, meet in that life, we could overcome much quicker and go to another deeper level of connection, of warmth and love. I could never expect when I was younger, stronger, richer, whatever. Yes, so that is like so. This is also very important, and I somehow connect that with open dialogue also, because well, it is somehow pushed me, because I know that good connection, to have good connection, is a very good protective force against against oncology also. There are a lot of studies which say that people who have just partner near him have a longer perspective to live and better response to the therapy. Yes, in comparison with lonely people. As you mentioned, loneliness is the major problem of the modern Western life. Yes. So I also wrote the book with the support of the people which the space of open dialogue gave me, I would say like that. In other projects I raised, like I mentioned, this group of support for people with the diagnosis, and the Spanish open dialogue also. I'm quite satisfied with my trajectory in the school of open dialogue. I didn't expect that way, that direction, but what we are doing there, and my small part of, let's say, of labor, I value very, very high. So for me, this is very important part of my self-realization at the moment. What else? And about others, I'm not prepared to that question. So what erased first in my memory was one group, then one lady. She was a beginner of the school, and she shared her difficult experiences at the moment, feelings, and that she's not accepted, the facilitator, the others, etc., etc., and that she's almost ready to leave the group, which she which she did finally. But in the beginning of the group, I shared. It was before she shared that experience, so that feeling with the group. I shared my experience. Then in the beginning, I had something very, very similar. So I was thinking, what I'm doing here, how it could help me, why I need to listen to those people with their problems. But I had a very, very huge reason for that, the problem with health problem, and I understood that this is my investment, my time, my health, my life, and I was just trying to agree with myself to stay at least for 2 hours. And the results, the insights which I received afterwards, after 2 hours, were over paying benefits for all my forces. Yeah. And so she went out from the group, and then suddenly she appeared again, because it was very difficult feeling. And when you meet that feeling, and if you try to escape, to use the typical escapism, yes, from that difficult feelings, you stay with that. So she suddenly decided to come back to say something, and then she came to the group. She listened the words, some words, and just one or two words changed completely her mind in the moment. And after 10 minutes, she was crying from the feeling of love and gratitude, and she was so impressed with that quick changing of mind at the moment, just from two words. Why? Because she decided to follow the agreement. Despite she left the group, she decided to come back, and she received the results. So for me, that was a very, very interesting example of how it could work. Yeah, how it could work, and even with very, very difficult feelings like anger, like I don't know, annoying, or unacceptance, and then suddenly, if you just follow to the agreement, just agree with yourself, with myself, if I agree with myself to stay for those 2 hours, and to let me to see what would happen after 2 hours, I would be able to get much more in that space of acceptance. So probably that one. There are many of them. So there are many examples in posts of clients of School Open Dialogue. So you can find many, but that is what appeared from my mind as a answer on your question from the results from the others. Yes. What else from the others? There are many. So let us stay with what it is, with that exact example. And yeah, thank you for a good question, which reminds me about very important steps of my development, development, self-development in that space, from the personal practice up to, let's say, to the person, to the part of social reactor, to the person who is able to transmit uh, that method, that practice for very for the resolving of the very practical issues of the daily life of the everyone. I think, well, it sounds a little bit too much, but I feel like that. I feel like that. Yeah.
Oleg, thank you so very much. In this conversation, I have 3 or 4 chill moments in my body, like yes, wow. And that last thing that you shared with that your fast recovery on health on a physical basis, I guess, and the union with your wife today, it made me very excited. I was so also during this interview, like we started with that point when you came to open dialogue, and the interest, I guess, also to the audience, to me, what happened next? Like, did you recover? Everything is okay? Are you healthy? Are you okay? And now you share, yes, I am. It happened, and it made me so. There's different words in Russian, but in English I just was excited. Um, and the last example with that woman participant in your group, it's very interesting. It's very interesting. It's also excited. Thank you, thank you. I had that chills also with that example. I can't explain it. It's kind of emotional thing, and I'm really thankful for also for sharing that and for being in this interview series. Hopefully, we will make another meetings when we will share maybe some more from the science and from that maybe from the loneliness place and maybe from the judgments. I made some remarks to myself. Maybe some moments can be very interesting how open dialogue merges into and can have that unexpected benefits in our lives. So just to spread our message, thank you so much for this interview. And guys, you're most welcome. Also join my groups in communication labs, and also Oleg Nikolenko. He's holding his groups also in Spanish, not only in English and Russian. So you can have the details besides this video in description, so you can have that and contact with us and have also practicing that experience of open dialogue, nonviolent communication skills, healthy goals, personal practice, and maybe one more that we didn't talk about much, but the honesty. So maybe that it will be for the next interview. Oleg, thank you so much.